Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn is the latest film in the DCEU and is a look at Harley Quinn after she breaks up with the Joker and one of the crazy adventures she goes on her own, making new friends along the way. Like most people, I thought Suicide Squad was pretty bad, and the DCEU has started to go a very interesting route, but I still don't care much for it. I didn't care for Aquaman, I thought Shazam was okay, and Wonder Woman is a well-made, but very derivative and generic origin story. For me, this is definitely the best in the DCEU so far, but it's not an incredible film by any means, which really does say a lot about the DCEU. The main reason I like it so much is because it's very daring and bold, and very different to any superhero film I've seen. It's very unconventional, especially in its structure, and on a much smaller scale than I thought it would be. Because of this, each scene felt very unpredictable and wild, and it gave the film a manic energy that very few films have, making it all the more fun throughout. The action scenes are very good, and Warner Bros. Hired Chaz Stahelski and his stunt team from the John Wick films to punch up the film with a bit more action closer to the release date. And his team gave the fight real bone-crunching tangibility, and the film feels so wonderfully free because of the R rating, and doesn't waste it in the slightest. The violence is bloody and brutal, but this adds to how unconventional the film is. The action is its best in the third act, when the group get together, and when they just start ploughing through wave after wave of enemies, and it is so much fun to watch. Everyone is brilliant here. Margot Robbie, who I've always loved as an actress, is the star of the show, and easily the best person here. She really captures Harley's insanity and hyper, manic energy, and how unhinged a character she is, especially now that she's cut ties with the Joker. She really sells the action scenes, and gives Harley some real bite beyond her non-stop chatter, and did show to me that Harley is actually still a human being after all the things she does. Mary Elizabeth-Winstead, who I've also always loved as an actress, is a standout as Huntress, and has the biggest laugh in the film for me. She really sells her fights with brutal efficiency, but sadly she doesn't get enough screen time and has the least screen time of all the birds in the film. Jurnee Smollet-Bell as Black Canary is also another standout, and gives their character a lot of heart and humanity. Basco as Cassandra Cain is a welcome newcomer, who I hope gets more work off this, as she's very charismatic here. And Ewan McGregor is a bit over the top, but is clearly having a lot of fun, and the audience feels that too. The script by Christina Hodson is very ballsy too, but has real strength to it. There's some great jokes, but it doesn't make the feminist aspect too forced, and makes the group be all women, not because of some offset studio decision, but simply because those are the characters who happen to be involved in the plot, not because the studio went, we want an all-women team-up movie. It really feels very natural and doesn't feel forced in the slightest, and it doesn't hit you over the head with it, which I really appreciated. It also gives Harley real humanity and charmingness, in a way Suicide Squad didn't, mostly because it sexualised her. And Cathy Yan's direction is very vibrant, colourful and alive, and really adds to the craziness of Harley's character. However, the Birds of Prey as a group are shortchanged overall, and don't get enough screen time together. The film is definitely at its best in the third act, when the group finally come together, and it's so much fun when they do. I hope they make a sequel with more of the group, as there's no girl gang film as fun as this, and I'm really glad Margot Robbie pushed so hard to make this. And the film is told in a slightly disjointed way. It's meant to reflect Harley's crazed mind, and it does, but it can feel quite jarring when it jumps about. For example, there's one particular segment where she turns up out of nowhere somewhere, and then it cuts back and focuses on how she ended up being there for 15 whole minutes. So when you get back to the point where it cut back originally, it does feel quite jarring and a bit muddling. It's not bad enough to be able to stop you from understanding the chain of events as a whole, but it is still a bit confusing and muddling when it first happens. And it didn't feel this way when I was actually watching the film, but looking back, it does have a sagging first act that takes a while to get going, but it doesn't feel that way whilst you watch it, so it's not too much of an issue. Overall, Birds of Prey is an incredibly fun dive into the insane mind of Harley Quinn, with great action, great performances, and tons of audacity to spare. This is easily my favourite of the DCEU, and I could imagine rewatching this many times due to simply how much fun it is. So I'm going to give Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn an 8 out of 10. Really good fun, and it is not forced at all in the feminist aspect of it, which is one of the things I really appreciated. And it is so unconventional and so daring, it gave it such an edge and such a difference to everything else I'd seen, that it made it so much more fun to see the direction they would go with their edge and unconventionality. That was my review of Birds of Prey, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye!